Good morning, Poke's friend. Good morning, my friends. Today I'm not the host, but Poke is. And today Poke is presenting Slenderman Proxies. This is all I know, so I'm gonna let you go and present your
Yes.
case.
Alrighty. Oh, we're having technical difficulty.
Uh-oh.
Okay. We're good
Okay.
now.
We're good.
Let's see here. Where am I at today?
I don't know, don't ask
We
me.
are. I don't know where I'm at today. I'm looking for my notes. They were just pulled up. I have so many tabs open right now. Um, I have creepy music too because
Me too. Me
you said it
too.
was going to be good enough. Oh my gosh. My alerts are still so loud. I have not figured out how to turn this down.
I don't
Well,
even
Hazel, thank you
have
very
an
much for the
alert
follow.
box in here.
I'm gonna have to like. Oh man.
Oh,
It's like a jump scare.
you just made me realize I do not have my my alert box, and so I'm just gonna drag it in real quick. But you can go. I'm a good multitasker. No, I'm
Oh,
not.
sweet. Okay, so little background of what we're doing today. This was essentially just supposed to be a super happy innocent. Let's do some urban myths. Let's do some folklore. Let's do, you know, something that is
Wait, Jan,
not so
I'm not ready.
heavy on the heart.
And this is not what's happening.
That is not what's happening.
Oh shoot.
Because today we get to dive into the online cult led by none other than the Slender Man.
Okay.
Cue photo
Interesting.
one.
Okay. You got my attention. Keep going.
I have your attention. I have everyone's attention. We are all captivated right now. My notes are loading. I
Okay.
did my research, I told you.
Guys, I just brought SFX here because they weren't. So, now they're here. Sorry.
Gotcha. So here we go. The Slender Man and his proxies. Notes. There we go. The Slender Man. He was created in 2009 by Eric Knudsen, also known as Victor Surge Online, for a contest on a website called Something Awful. Specifically, Knudsen designed Slenderman to create paranormal image thread, which was calling for participants to Photoshop existing photographs. This Slenderman started off as a tall, creepy, slim, spider-like figure photoshopped into two seemingly benign pictures of kids playing. I didn't grab these because anyone that's been on the internet have probably seen these photos.
I haven't, and I've been on the internet.
Oh, you haven't?
So,
Dang, I should have grabbed them. But there are two photos that are super popular for Slenderman. It's typically a kids playing on the playground, with Slenderman photoshopped in the background.
okay.
Photo 2, 3. The next photo is, I believe, 4 for us, is going to be
Oh,
the picture of the author and illustrator of Slenderman himself.
okay.
This is the guy who is responsible for, and I have to clarify this in the very beginning of this. This is not the man who is responsible for anything that we are about to come across. This is the man who is responsible for initially creating Slenderman. He is the designer. He was the one who came up with the idea, submitted some of the initial lore behind it, and all of that. So this man is not one responsible for what we are about to get into. The Slenderman Mythos first appeared in the original Something Awful thread, as we just went over. The earliest editions was added onto a forum named Thoru Up, who created a folklore story set in 16th century Germany involving a character called De Grobman, which was implied to be an earlier reference to Slenderman. His images found their way onto 4chan and then went viral across the internet. Some games, such as Minecraft, have what's the word I'm thinking of? Cameos of Slenderman in them. How Minecraft has the Enderman is said to be kind of made after him. Um, but in short, Slenderman kind of went from this kind of creepy, photoshopped this thing into the background into what we now have is the urban legend, like morphing internet concoction of like a wood dwelling boogeyman that preys on children. So that's where I thought my whole story was going to get to start. And I just wanted to have a nice day. And I wanted to go over Slenderman, but what we get into are the real life occurrences of attempted murder, arson, suicide, and homicide, all brought on by the phenomena that was known as Slenderman.
Gotcha.
Slenderman originally portrayed in most of his art as being very tall and thin, almost unnaturally long, with tentacle-like arms which could extend to intimidate or capture prey. In most stories, his face is completely white. His torso seems to be adorning a black suit with a white undershirt and a black tie. Occasionally his face appears differently to anyone who sees it, but it does appear mostly blank.
I saw the image, and I have to say, I do not vibe with the kid's picture.
I felt so bad about sending these all to you last night, but I knew if I didn't get them to you like now, they weren't going to happen.
You knew I was not gonna sleep anyway, so why not?
That's probably true. So if you're following along with us here on the live stream here, the photos I'm putting up now are just the original images of what Slenderman. He has typically the same look everywhere you go. Black suit, white face, either tentacles for arms or tentacles protruding from the back. Very, very creepy. All the games that have been popular about him, they've made movies about him. So this isn't just something that was like, it was on the internet, it was popular, and then people were just like, whatever, next best thing. Slenderman launched a phenomena, like, of people going crazy over this. They wanted Slenderman merch, they have Slenderman video games, they have 3 web-funded movies that were cover Slenderman, and they have 1 box office movie that was for Slenderman, and it was not good. Anyone that, for some reason, the box office movie was worse than the 2 that they made off of Kickstarter. I don't know how that happens,
Okay.
but we got there.
We got there.
So after going through all of the Slenderman lore and stuff, he was protrude. I'm the one that can't do English today. Portrayed.
You got this.
Portrayed as wearing the dark suit and tie, often associated with the forest and or abundant locations. And has been known to have the ability to teleport everywhere. So he's kind of like an everywhere kind of being. Like last week, you know, I happen to run into things all the time that just like to teleport and be in multiple places. But this is where everything started to get interesting. And I said in Curly's chat last night that I had an answer. And I had a spoiler.
I want it.
As to why Curlia always had nosebleeds.
Yes.
When she was younger.
You know me.
Slenderman is known to prey on kids.
Mm-hmm. Yo, wasn't
And
there
through my
Slenderman
research-
praise? I was just freaking. I was sitting in class, minding my business in the middle of a science class, and Slenderman is preying on me. Come on, Slenderman. No, that's not right. That's not okay.
Sorry, Curlia.
What the fuck? No.
This next part's for you.
No.
Among my research, I found that proximity to the Slenderman is often said to trigger a slender sickness, which is a rapid onset of paranoia, nightmares, and delusions, accompanied by nosebleeds.
You know I grew up next to a forest, right?
I'm sorry.
Oh, fuck me.
Dem's the facts. I'm just reporting, okay? It's all I can do for you.
Thank
But
you.
we all know now
But no thank
why
you.
Curly is the person she is.
We don't claim that energy. We don't claim it. We keep it there. Keep it in your side of the podcast. We don't claim it in my chat.
Most of, but it's lucky you weren't, a victim to Slenderman, because most of Slenderman's victims are murdered in a similar fashion. They were impaled on low-hanging branches or disemboweled at the root of trees. Organs once removed as if being examined and then stuffed back into the body to their respective places, oftentimes being first placed into bags, either burlap or plastic, and then stuffed back into the body. I don't know what Slenderman's deal was. He was just
Fun.
wanted to find out how humans ticked, I guess.
Okay.
But this is where the folklore ends.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to go into more of it, and I wanted to get the creepypasta side of things.
Yes.
And I wanted to tell some really spooky story, but I understand you unlocked a new emote last night.
I did.
So I titled this part of my presentation
The sauce?
The Sauce.
Can I get some sauce in chat?
Sauce in chat, everybody, because right now I'm about to let you know Slenderman is actually responsible for several real-life attempted murders, active arson, and a double suicide, double homicide.
Also,
That's right.
can we talk about the fact that, okay, people on my stream will know that I have creepy music pulled up right now, and there was a laugh in the creepy music perfectly timed with mine, and that fucking crept me out. I want to ball my eyes off. I haven't slept, and this thing is laughing at me, and I am not okay. I'm like, whatever energy we got here, I do not want it. Thank you. We can keep moving forward.
Do not want. You gotta bring the energy in. Let it run the show.
And then ruin my life? No.
Let it do what it does best.
No.
Anyways, are you ready to get into the story?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh no, don't apologize.
Get into
I'm
the
excited
sauce.
Carlia,
Yes.
pull up that first image of those creepy kids.
Yes.
Morgan Geyser on May 30th, 2013. 13. We're making it today, chat. We're making it. Morgan Geyser, school student from Waukesha, Wisconsin, is allowed to have 2 friends over every year for her birthday party.
Okay.
Which happens to be on May 30th. Here we are. This year, she had a sleepover with 2 of her friends from class, Peyton Lutner and Anissa Weir. The sleepover contained a typical variety of 12-year-old girl stuff. After they awoke on May 31st, the girls lure Lutner into the woods near their home, wanting to go out and play hide and seek. However, once the trio reached the woods, Morgan and Anissa tackle Peyton to the ground and stab her, leaving her to die. Geyser and Weir are found hours later by police on the side of the road, telling investigators they are on their way to live with Slenderman. They are charged with adults for attempted murder the following day. On my stream in Curlia's, we have a picture of the 2 girls. On the left is Morgan Geyser, and on the right is Alyssa Weir. These are photos taken the day after they were being booked in the county jail.
What?
May 31st. Yeah, that's it.
My brain,
it happened. Like
my brain did
fast.
not process what you just said.
I looked and looked and looked and looked. There is no backstory to this. There's no prequel to any of this story. It just picks up right here, and that's why I had to rewrite most of my presentation today, because I did not believe any of this really had a backstory, and I couldn't find it. Morgan Geyser and Anissa Weir invited Peyton Lutner over to Morgan Geyser's house for Morgan's birthday on May 30th, 2014. They had a sleepover. They got up, went out in the woods to play. and uh, Morgan and Anissa tackled Peyton to the ground, stabbed her 19 times, and left her to die in the woods. And they just were like walking on back home. That's where our party starts.
But like, they haven't heard about Slenderman before or things like that. Like, this just happened like this. Like, how can you
Oh, we're
not?
getting there.
How can you never hear about Slenderman and just go and stab your friend 19 times?
Oh no, we're getting there.
Okay,
We're getting there.
I'm asking too much questions.
I
But
thumbs up
like,
for the enthusiasm though.
my chat is like, happy birthday.
Happy birthday! May 31st, 2014. Waukesha, Wisconsin. Two 12-year-old girls, Morgan Geyser and Anissa Weir, held down and stabbed 12-year-old classmate Peyton Lutner 19 times with a 5-inch blade. When questioned later that evening by authorities, they reportedly claimed they wished to commit a murder as a first step to becoming proxies for the Slender Man, having read about it online. They also stated that they were afraid that the Slender Man would kill their families if they did not commit the murder. After the perpetrators left the scene, the victim crawled her way out of the woods to a roadway where a passing cyclist alerted authorities. The victim survived the attack, and both attackers have been diagnosed with the mental illness and were also charged as adults, each facing up to 65 years in prison. Morgan reportedly said time and time again that Slenderman watches her and her family, could read their minds, and would often teleport around town following them. This is like the beginning of her initial statement. This is all before they get into trial. None of this is. They haven't even gone to a judge yet, and they're already just
Okay,
spewing all this stuff.
this is what my mom was worried about.
This is
Of me-
exactly what our parents are worried about.
Of me going on the internet so young. This is what I was warned about. Jeez.
Hmm.
Stabbed 19 times and survived. Oof. I don't think they survived. Did they?
Yes.
Oh, they did.
Peyton survived.
Okay.
She survived the attack.
But I'm
She
sure.
crawled her way out of the woods and made it to the road, and a cyclist saw her on the side of the road, and they called 911 for help.
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah, it's
They
like I
made
said, this sauce is thick. It gets even worse because experts in court testified that Morgan Geyser had also had conversations with Lord Voldemort and one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Don't say.
I
Don't
really
say the name.
wish
It's
I
the
could make
one-
this up, but this is on record.
You're not supposed to say his name.
I did. Bring it. Lord Voldemort. Lord Voldemort?
You-
Lord Voldemort.
You want us to burn alive today?
Lord Voldemort.
Stop.
Voldemort. Anyways, enough of all that. Let's get into the trial.
Yes.
Statements to the media on June 4th, 2014.
Mm-hmm.
The creator of Slenderman, Eric, made a statement to the media and reached out to families saying, I am deeply saddened by the tragedy in Wisconsin, and my heart goes out to the families of those affected by this terrible act. He did go on to state that he would not be giving interviews on the matter. This is why I wanted to stress earlier that Eric, who originally created and designed Slenderman, had nothing to do with any of this. This wasn't his influence. This is purely the internet giving root to a cult that has now started to spawn people that are acting violently on its behalf, like autonomously, doing it on their own. Nobody's directing them to do this. Nobody is on the internet. They are doing it, I can guarantee you they are, but nobody's doing it in this instance pretending to be Slenderman in contact with these girls. These were two girls that read the Slenderman stories, read all the fan wikis, and were like, let's do this. We want to kill somebody. We want to be Slenderman proxies. We don't want him to come harm our families. That's the wild part of this, is nobody really influenced them to do it.
Internet doing what the internet does.
Internet doing what the internet does. Exactly. So moving on, we get into the trial.
Guys, pull
Next
the
photo,
cable.
next,
Stop the stream. No more internet for us today.
no
I
more
think
internet.
it's
Everybody get off. Internet's
dangerous.
banned. Put up your school blockers. The next photo we have here is of the judge, Judge Bourne. He is going to be the one who is pretty much presiding over this entire case, and he's going to handle this entire scenario with the girls. So anytime I'm referring to a judge or anything, it's going to be this man right here.
All right.
We move on to August 1st, 2014. The girls have been processed and they're starting their trials. Morgan was found incompetent to stand trial due to claims of mental illness. Her prosecution was suspended until her condition would improve. At this point, this led doctors and investigators to dive more into the psychological well-being of Anissa as well. The judge places a media gag on the case as well, since they are all children. So, unfortunately, the pictures that I showed you to begin with of Anissa and Morgan are the only two that we're going to have for now. So, lack of photos is purely because the judge put a gag order on it. Hey, these are kids. We don't need them, being blasted out by the media. So, from this point on, the only people that are seeing the kids are the people present in the courtroom and their immediate families. They are
Okay.
placed on a house arrest. They are only to be transported to a psych ward where Morgan will be held. Anissa has a little bit looser restraints, but that is pretty much they're being isolated from everybody right now until they can determine what is going on with them. Are they really crazy, or are they just claiming it?
Okay.
September 2014, the court makes the official rule to put Anissa under psychological evaluation, which pushes the trial back to November. So now Anissa, a month later, is also under the same kind of level of house arrest and psychological evaluation as Morgan is. We get on to November 12th of 2014. Doctors officially come out and say that their condition has improved. I don't know how from September to November that doctors are going to be like, they're not crazy anymore. We did it. They can go to trial, but
Weird.
they did.
Okay.
So the case reopens. Anissa gets her review for December because remember she just went in at the end of last month. So they've only had these girls under psychological evaluation for a month and a half, 2 months apiece, and now they're deeming them that they're good to go back in court.
That's odd. That's uh
Oh my God,
that feels
Silson,
odd.
hi. Yes, it has been a long time since I've seen you. I was shiny hunting cottonies. Oh man, that was months ago. That was last year. Welcome back. Good to have you.
Hello. Hello, stranger.
So now we're moving on to the end of the year in 2014. This seems like so long ago, too.
Yeah.
December 19th, 2014, judge officially rules both girls are now competent to stand trial. Both psychiatrists and medical examiners signing off on release papers, along with the legal team. Trial is finally reopened, and we are ready to get everything underway. So, this stabbing happened months ago, and this whole time they've just been doing psychological evaluation on Morgan and Anissa, and now we're caught up to the end of the year. They're saying, okay, it's good to go.
But I
Trial doesn't
mean,
begin until yes.
I get why you would want to do so much psychological evaluation on this child, because you're like, okay, yes, this child saw things on the internet, and child are like they're influenceable. Um,
Yes, children are easily influenced.
but like you have to have a bit of reason, and so there has to be something with these kids, so they would just read that and go that far with it, right?
Yeah,
I guess. I mean, that's a normal reflex.
there's a good thing. Yeah.
But the fact that like one day they're unable and then suddenly they are able is really freaking odd. Keep going.
It's very unsettling. Yes, I agree that one day these are normal, middle school girls doing middle school girl things, and the next they've lured one of their friends into the woods and just stabbed them up a bunch of times, and claimed that essentially they're going to live with the boogeyman, and they did that so that they too could become boogeymen. Which is, why would a child want to become a murderer at that age?
Yeah.
We'll probably go over it again in the future.
Maybe we dodged a bullet.
I think we did. You know, we weren't so much kids. Like, I was graduating high school at this time.
2014?
14. I was actually out of high school. I was in college.
I was graduating from high school.
That's probably why I didn't even know any of this was going on. Just all this stuff that we've had just go on under the radar. Like, the trial doesn't pick up here till February 2015, when the first hearing of, you know, Morgan and Anissa, when the trial starts up and they have their first hearings, Morgan Geyser immediately goes on the defense of, essentially, it was a kill or be killed situation. And she went on trial to say that she believed that she had to kill, or she would be killed herself by the fictional internet character Slenderman. The attorney went on to push this through court, through the initial preliminary hearings, and she says she plays this angle for the entire first part of the trial. Obviously, it's not going to get anywhere, because who's really going to believe that? This goes on from February, and the preliminaries go on for months. There's more psychological evaluations. They pretty much are taking everything the two girls are saying, and, you know, running it through a mixer of how true is this, and then these people are having to go on and read internet myths and all the lore behind it, and pretty much just digging through Reddit and 4chan to get all the answers on Slenderman they can, to make sure that this isn't, you know, a real person. Like, they want to make sure that these girls aren't just like, you know, oh, Slenderman, but it's actually like the neighbor across the street telling them to murder their friends.
Makes
so they
sense.
get through all of this, and this takes from February all the way to August of 2015.
Okay.
And they restart the initial preliminary hearings after hearing all of this, and they're like, the girls are competent for trial, you know, they're medically well, and then they get to trial and they're saying, like, it was kill or be killed, like, the Slenderman was going to come for us. So then they're all like, okay, we gotta restart now, because they're acting cuckoo again. So everything ceases again. Every time the girls, you know, start having erratic fits in court and they get zealous about the Slenderman and stuff, they have to stop. They have to stop and go do more research. So this just is pumping the brakes on this entire investigation, and it just continues on like this for almost all of 2015, until August, when they restart the initial preliminary hearings. The presiding judge then rules that the girls are going to be tried as adults, which is going to take away a lot of their rights to these sporadic case hearings, and then psychological evaluation, then case hearing, and then psychological evaluation. The judge was like, no, if these girls are playing the game, we're gonna make them play the game our way. So they're tried as adults officially as of August of 2015, and they're gonna be tried separately. So the girls can't be in court with each other. They can't give each other looks. They can't play off each other's stories. So they are like, it's been a full year. You know, we're gonna play ball now. Which I kind of understand why they waited, but at the same time, like, we need to just get some answers.
Yeah.
That was August of 2015. Oh, my notes got out of order.
Don't worry about it. Fine. I can't wait to move on to pictures. I'm just like, when do we change pictures?
I know, right? We can actually go ahead and go to the next one now.
Okay.
So here we are. Girls set for trial as adults. The judge is the judge obviously rejects the argument for the girls acting under the kill or be killed belief, which would have made the offense an attempted second-degree intentional homicide and required the girls to be treated in juvenile court. So he threw that out and said, no, we're not doing juvenile court. We're not doing any of that stuff anymore. We're essentially taking away all the safety bars. There are no more bumpers for you. Y'all are being tried as adults.
Yeah.
In April, they both seek a bail reduction, which isn't going to happen for obvious reasons. Lawyers for Geyser requested her bail be reduced and she be allowed to move to the Milwaukee Academy, an all-girls residential treatment center in Wauwatosa, but Boren says because the facility is not secured, Geyser would be considered a flight risk, which means that they would feel like she's just gonna up and run. I would too. In May, they have the first of their reverse waiver hearings. The forensic psychologist's evaluation shows that Anissa Weir is having a very low risk of future criminal activity and a high likelihood of success in treatment for issues that landed her in the Slenderman stabbing case. So they're pretty much saying, you know, Morgan's cracked. Like
Yeah.
she's messed up. We're keeping her locked down. They have psychologists and doctors on Anissa's case are starting to say, hey, she has a very low case of ever doing this again. She has a very high chance of rehabilitation. She can move on from this. And so they're kind of playing this angle now, saying, hey, we can get our girl. She's fine. Like, she's a
Okay.
kid. We feel like she was influenced. We're going to try to move on from this. And that's going to be the angle that they're going to play for this part of court. And whether it holds up or not, we never really get to find out. Because in June they have the release of family medical records. This is, you know, a whole year later in June. They come up with these medical records and they looking through Morgan's family and they find out that Morgan's family has a long history of severe schizophrenic outbursts. The earliest onset of schizophrenic outbursts for Morgan's family is set on a genetic basis. And at a court hearing, an expert witness reveals that Geyser's father had suffered from similar mental illnesses as an adolescent, was hospitalized at least 4 times between the ages of 14 and 15 with aggressive outbursts, acts of rage, violence, and unseen motivations where
Oh.
things were coming to him and pretty much being like, hey, you need to do this.
Oh my God.
So the family has a history on Morgan's side. So Morgan's attorney and Morgan's team have been fighting so hard to try and get her a little softer sentence, to try and get her a little more, you know, oh, she's just a kid, she was doing this, you know. And now it's come out that the family has like a very hard case of schizophrenia that's affected everyone in their family's line, like genetically. So now they're like, this was an issue and y'all knew about it and nobody did anything. So now the books are closed.
That's so wrong from the family, like to just go and yeah, but she's a kid when they know that. That is freaking wrong.
Oh yeah. So they're like, gloves are off. We're not playing this game anymore. Like you have a history of mental illnesses. So now we know where to go on from now. We know that they're just not crazy, like, or that they're just kids doing crazy stuff. They know she's schizophrenic. The schizophrenia is at a level genetically that has in the past produced violent outbursts from family members that are affected by it. They're rolling on with the case. So they have all the reason to keep Morgan locked up. Morgan's under tight surveillance, and that's where they're going to leave her. And then, of course, it moves down to August. The judge did rule that the girls do not qualify for juvenile court anymore. It was the key decision in this case. Had the girls probably gone back to juvenile court, there was a very high chance that both of them would have got away with the attempted murder, and it would have just been swept under the rug because they were kids. If for some reason the girls were to be adjudicated as delinquent, which means had they ended up reversing that and found that they were, delinquent and they were going to be trialed as minors in juvenile court,
Mm-hmm.
they did have safety levies in place to where the girls were going to be under community supervision and essentially always have someone watching them, and they were just pretty much going to have a leash until they were turning 18.
Okay.
So, regardless of whether the girls were going to be tried now, if they were going to be tried in juvenile court, they weren't going to have any kind of life
Yeah.
until they turned 18, and then they were going to have to start this process all over again. So it kind of turned into this little, like, damned if you do, damned if you don't situation where they're kind of done either way. So they kind of let it go, and they're like, okay, we're going to go ahead and just let, the trial as adults take place.
Let's put
So
it out of the way.
Yeah, they finally cracked on that, and they're like, we're letting it go. It's done. We're going to get this rolling. Also, in August of 2015, which was the whole year later where we caught up now, after the denial of transfer to juvenile court, Judge Boren lifts the restriction on news media and first shows the girls' faces, which is the image we have up now. This is for the first time the public outside the courtroom has seen either one of the girls for the past year. They've been completely isolated. They've been put away. Nobody's been seen. Nobody has had contact with them really, except, immediate relatives and their legal team and doctors and the court, and that's it. They've been out of touch with society for a whole year. And honestly, the change between the first picture that we showed of these two and the picture now is almost haunting, especially since this is kids.
Yeah.
And you can just see so much on them from the past year.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And we what? It was the third picture? No, it was not.
The second picture of the girls after the judge.
Yeah, but I would just want to compare it to okay. Here. A year prior and a year after.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this is a picture of the first time the girls were booked. This was immediately after the stabbings, the following day on May 31st, a year prior. And then we fast forward to this picture, which is a year later after being under pretty much lockdown, intense supervision, psychological evaluations. They were transferred from different facilities, constantly kept under watch, and just not a way that you want to be living. But when you go stabbing people, dims the rules. Sorry.
Yeah.
We're almost out of 2015 now. This case has been going on for over a year now. We're at September. The defense starts to appeal the decision for the reverse waiver. So they're trying one last time. After they have already said we're going to let this go, they're going to be tried as adults, whatever. They try one last hurrah, and they're like, we're going to try this again. The girls' attorneys asked to appellate the court reversal for the judge's decision to keep the case in adult court. The first brief was filed before Christmas. State lawyers sought extra time to respond and didn't file their brief until later in February. The case was been on hold pending the Court of Appeals ruling. So they're yet again playing these weird legal games, and I really thought this was going to be more of a case with the girls involved, but this is just a very good example of the American legal system and how they're able to constantly work these stopgaps in. Every time the court tries to move forward, they're constantly doing something else to hold it up. They're constantly doing something else to put it on pause. And it's just been this whole game of, just cat and mouse the entire time. They're chasing this, and then he gets away, and they have to wait. And they do this, and they have to wait again. So now that brings us all the way up to January of 2016, where Morgan Geyser enters a psychiatric hospital A civil judge approves, sending Geyser to a state mental hospital where she gets her first treatment for schizophrenia, including the medication that her lawyer says quells the voices from imaginary friends like Slenderman, and she is confined to a juvenile detention center in West Bend for this time. So, after all this time, they finally got her on medication. She's been put to a juvenile center that's extremely secure. I looked up a little bit of research on West Bend. It is, a not a maximum security juvenile center, but it is very well guarded. They do have individual rooms. They have the isolation chambers. So it is for juveniles of their caliber who are
Yeah.
off the rails and need that real life correction. And again,
Okay.
just remember, these are 14-year-olds at this
Yeah.
time that we're talking about. I want to reiterate that these are 14-year-old girls. These are not like hardened adults who have been through life of strife.
Yeah.
These are two girls that were playing
They're children.
My Little Pony in Minecraft, and then we're like, "Yo, let's stab our friend," and they were like, "Fantastic."
Yeah.
We move on to July 2016. I'm really trying hard because most of my presentation expertise that I have are like in a business setting. So I'm trying to be more podcast casual, laid back and talking, but in my mind I want to be like, let us move on to Exhibit 4. As we see here in July of 2016, the Court of Appeal rules that Weir and Grace stay in adult court. Like
Yeah.
So we move on to this, which was photo 8 for us. This is going to be a picture of Morgan being brought back into court after her time at the correctional center starting in January. So from January 2016 to July of 2016, Morgan has been sitting in the correctional institution, undergoing therapy, taking medication, and they are very certain this time that they are like, she is good. We can get conversation out of her. Like what we are going to be getting is real human
Mm-hmm.
responses, not delusions and schizophrenia. So the judge is pretty much just like, sure, we'll go through this again. Weir and Grayson are properly charged as adults this time. Through the Court of Appeals ruling, it's not going to be reversed. They're like, the Court of Appeals is like, no more. We're done. We've seen you guys in here every day. You've brought us catering. You've bought us flowers. Like, no more. We're done. We're not going to be bribed. We're not changing our decision. So Weir and Grayson are properly charged as adults. The trial is officially kicking off from 2015. The two girls have been ruled that they failed to show by preponderance of evidence that they should be transferred from adult court to juvenile court. The girls' lawyers have said from time they were charged as adults that the case should play out in juvenile court, but they're like, no, we're not doing it. We're playing them as adults. So they're still trying this. Like, even though the judge has been like, no, we're doing them as adults, and then they were like, we're doing them as adults, but really they're like, we're going to try to keep them as kids. Not happening. Morgan eventually enters a plea of not guilty by reason of mental disease, and this starts the whole thing again. So everybody's in court, they got their notepads out, and we're like, okay, we're ready to do this. So she gets on the stand and she's like, I'm not guilty, I was crazy. So everybody throws their pens up and they're like, come on, really? Goes back into psychological evaluation.
Oof.
I really wish that this was better, but they have psychologically evaluated these two girls for 2 years now, and nobody can still come up on a decision on what to do with them.
Yeah.
So this is the final time Morgan is entering the plea of not guilty on grounds of mental disease. Two doctors are court ordered to evaluate Geyser and determine her condition would be supporting the not guilty by reason of mental illness. It was not. So they're like, okay, we've done this. We're done. And records show these were not two county doctors. These were not two like state doctors from like the Institute of Wisconsin doctors who are very smart. These were like two Harvard graduate, seasoned, veteran doctors that came in and examined this girl head to toe and have written books on her psychological status, and then they came out and were like, nah, she's good, like, she's good, try her. So they're like, we're done, we've busted out Harvard on this. Not everything goes the same way for Anissa, because Anissa's lawyers are very smart. Anissa immediately turns around and pleads insanity, but is admitting to knowing what she did, but was unable to control her actions at the time.
Huh. Okay.
So Anissa pleads not guilty by reason of mental disease or a defect, and someone entering this plea contends that that at the time of the crime, a mental disease or defect prevented them from appreciating the wrongfulness of the action or from conforming her conduct to the law. So she pretty much Anissa goes into court, which is our next photo, and she's conversing with her lawyer. And this is the photo of her sitting next to her attorney, and she is talking with him, and she pulls up a piece of paper and is writing on it. She folds it and slides it across the desk to him, and he opens it up and doesn't hesitate. He stands right up and says, my client wants to plead insanity. Pretty much she knew what she was doing, but at the time, mental illness prevented her from really appreciating and understanding the gravity of her situation and what she was doing wrong. So she takes the kid way out, where I knew what I was doing, I didn't know how bad it was going to be, even though you're stabbing somebody and we all know stabbing is wrong. That's what she went with, and that's how they're rolling. So you've got one case that's on the extreme side of Morgan and her team that are constantly pushing, no, I'm not insane, I am a mentally sturdy, fortified human being, I can contribute to society. And then you have Anissa's team, who was like, hey, she was a kid, she followed an internet fad and did something really bad. She doesn't understand, or didn't understand, the gravity of the situation, and now she does. So Anissa's getting to move on to trial.
Yeah.
They're going to be finished with her in a little bit.
Okay.
Morgan's the one they're still going to fight for.
Yeah.
We'll move on to August, so we're almost out of 2017.
Okay.
Anissa, who is now 15, pleads guilty to being a part of the attempted homicide, as discussed by her lawyers. Pleads guilty to being a party to an attempted second-degree homicide, claims she was not responsible for her actions on the grounds of insanity. Prosecutors allege that she knew what she was doing was wrong. The jury does eventually determine that she was mentally ill during the attack, and she will spend at least 3 years in a mental hospital. So they took her the right way. She said, okay, what I've done is wrong. I want to make up for it, and that's how they're going to treat her. Which I think is very wrong on Morgan's part, because I also feel like that's what her attorney should have been doing, instead of constantly trying to get her off the hook. We've already come out with the case of schizophrenia. We've already come out with, the family genetics. She's admitted multiple times to having imaginary friends and hearing voices and acting on impulses from these voices. And her attorney is still trying to get her off the hook for this.
Yeah.
And that's more of the psychologically scary part of this, is that they're pretty much just playing with a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
Just for, legal clout to say, I got my client off this case. It's fine. Heartbreakingly, and this is the photo that really hurts me the most a little bit, is photo 10 in our lineup. This is going to be the photo of Morgan after years of isolation and psychological treatments. on September 25th of 2017, it's
Morgan
reported that
does
Morgan
not
Geyser,
look
who is
okay.
now 15, agreed to plead guilty to attempting to commit first-degree murder in an arrangement that would allow her to avoid jail time. In the terms of the arrangement, Morgan would remain at the mental hospital where she had been staying for the past 2 years for at least 3 more years. So she had been at this mental hospital since 2015. It's now 2017. She comes out, and they're like, "You're fixing to do jail time unless we get you to, commit to this because your friend is already, she's gone. She's gonna be getting out in like 2 years. She's gonna be off the case. She's gonna be rehabilitated." And so finally, in 2017, Morgan comes up with her team and says, "Hey, I did it. I'm guilty."
Yeah,
Which could have all been avoided 2 years ago had they just come up with this, and she would have been on the road by now.
absolutely.
But now it's 2017. She's sat in there for 2 years, and now she's going back in for another three, at least. So they're at a minimum of 3 years.
Okay.
Not saying how long she's actually going to still be there for. We're rolling on to the end of 2017 now. It's December 21st. Um, the Judge Michael Boren sentences Anissa, who is now 16 years old, to be hospitalized for 25 years from the date of the crime, which keeps Anissa institutionalized until she's 37.
Oof. That's a lot. That
So,
you spent most of your life out of society, and now you're a full-grown adult, expected to function.
yes, they're pretty much keeping these girls isolated
Yeah.
for the rest of their lives because moving into 2018, after Morgan's trial is finalized on February 1st, 2018, Associated Press from the town reports that Morgan was sentenced to 40 years in the Wisconsin Mental Hospital, which is the maximum sentence allowed up there. So Anissa won't be getting out until she's 37 from the date of the trial, from the date of the murder or the attempted murder up till she's 37.
Oh my god.
As of 2018, Morgan is being sentenced to 40 years. And at this time, Morgan is 15. So Morgan won't be 55 until she's out.
Oh my god.
Which, again, you know, as kids, most of your life is gone at this point.
Your life is completely
They do get
ruined.
to have lives. Um, it's not like you're in prison or you're in jail. You're not being like detained all the way. You are in a mental institution. You are undergoing rehabilitation, so you do have some steps to freedom.
But still.
And that's where that part of the story pretty much ends. We move on forward into 2019 now. We are all the way into October
Mm-hmm.
of 2019. And we have our final picture on the slide here, which is Peyton. So it's been years down the road. It's October of 2019. Peyton comes out on an interview with 2020 and makes her first media statements about the attack, where she speaks out in an ABC interview, and she's quoted saying, "I've come to accept all the scars that I have. It's a part of me. I don't think much of them right now. They will probably go away and fade," which is a really good point for somebody who's been through this kind of trauma to have.
Yeah.
She has moved on very well from it and just accepted this is a part of me. There's no reason to dwell on it. It happened.
Yeah.
People who are dealing with it are going to deal with it. And she gets kind of her closure on the deal. And that's, October of 2018. So they're like, we're done here. Everything is good. Um, at least that's what I would like to say. January
But
2019,
yes.
the case reopens.
Okay.
for Morgan Geyser to be tried in adult court when she was 12. So they're still not letting it go. Morgan's legal team is still fighting this.
Mm-hmm.
They come around and they're saying, "Hey, we're not done. Just kidding."
Just kidding.
This goes on for an entire year, up to August 2020, where the appeal is finally laid to rest. Wisconsin's Second District Court of Appeals agrees with Boren that keeping the case in adult court was the right call and does not address the other aspects of the appeal, which challenges the use of Geyser's statement to detectives hours after the stabbing. Geyser's lawyers repeatedly state in multiple interviews that her fight is not over and it will appeal to the state's Supreme Court. I want to know who the actual psychos are in this story, because it really sounds like the lawyers to me.
Yeah.
Like, it's done. Leave it.
Leave it
We're
be.
done
Yeah.
with this. And no more loose ends. No more false bottoms. September of 2020,
Mm-hmm.
Geyser heads to the Supreme Court, files a petition of review with the Supreme Court in an attempt to reverse the Circuit Court judge's decision, the Court of Appeals ruling to try to case in adult court, as well as set a standard and clarification of the law.
Mm-hmm.
September of 2020, this is still going on. They're moving it to the Supreme Court. While in November of 2020, Weir, who is now 19 years old, files a petition in court for conditional release, saying she would not pose a significant risk or bodily harm to herself or others, or cause serious property damage if released under specific conditions. 3 mental health professionals will evaluate Weir before releasing reports to the judge by January 29th of 2021, and a hearing has been scheduled for March of this year. January 2021, Geyser's whole case is officially dead. The Supreme Court has reviewed it. You know, the big dogs have looked over this case and all of its information, and they are officially saying no. This girl is mentally incompetent. She's cracked. She has mental issues, mentally unfit to be anywhere, not being released. Like, so the Supreme Court comes and officially puts the final stamp on the case after years and years and years of their legal team fighting. The Supreme Court says, you know, this is not to be pursued any further. We're ending this now. She is staying there. She's not going to be tried under juvenile law. She's not going to be held accountable under juvenile law. She is an adult. Everything they do is going to be as an adult. So Morgan's case, finally done. March 2021, just happened. Weir's appeal in court for conditional release, asking for the conditional release from the state mental health hospital. 3 court-ordered mental health experts say Weir meets the standards for the conditional release, and her attorneys say that she has extraordinary compliance while institutionalized. However, the prosecutors say Weir still presents a danger to others and shouldn't be released. A judge decides whether to grant her release during a hearing on June 11th of this year. So, one hand, she's gone. Morgan's gone. She's locked up. She's not coming out. She won't admit to having stabbed her friend. She won't admit to having any sort of personal responsibility to stabbing her friend. So she's not getting out. Anissa has admitted to it. She says she was too young. I didn't realize what I was doing. I didn't realize the consequences of it. I stabbed my friend a bunch of times, and she is showing progress in recovery, and she is showing progress with the mental institution to the point to where they are already considering her for a conditional release. The release, however, I would assume will still span the length of her 30-year mark. So even if she's out, she'll still have, probation, check-ins. She'll still have to go to therapy and all that kind of stuff. But it's better than a life, living in a box, pretty much.
Absolutely.
And that is where our proxy case of Wisconsin comes to an undecided end because the
I
case is all still ongoing.
what bothers me here is like the way lawyers could they just could not let it go. Like it's becoming annoying at the end, and it's not your fault. But like at the end, I was just like, okay, fucking lawyers, like get over it. Like we've
I know.
settled on sentences. Like let it go, please.
Like it's all there. It's all there
Yeah,
on paper.
yeah,
Everybody sees it,
yeah,
and they're still just pushing on with the idea of, nah, we can try this, Nah, we can try this.
yeah,
It's over. Just
yeah.
let it go.
I didn't know um there was this whole story to Slenderman, but then again in 2014 I was graduating from high school and I was too busy with MMORPGs to follow the news.
Didn't nobody have time for that?
Yeah, I
Didn't nobody have
didn't.
time for that in
Yeah.
2014?
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody.
We were busy, and then if you don't know the main story, then why would you be aware of the lawsuits?
Right. I always thought Slenderman was just this scary, internet made up thing that
I
people put in the
knew
back of
about.
photos to be
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
I never knew that there was like an entire cult
I knew
behind
about
it.
the
And
character, like Slenderman. He's gonna lurk into you in the forest. He's gonna make me nosebleed, but I didn't know the nosebleed part. JK. But I knew about Slenderman. I didn't know Enderman is the homie in Minecraft. But we're
yes,
talking Slenderman.
Enderman is the homie in
What?
Minecraft.
Enderman he is the homie in Minecraft, Victor. How are you doing?
Oh, what's up, Vic? Nani?
Nani?
That's right, boy. You know every Saturday. Got two of your favorite people right here.
And he's like, I'm not invited.
Well, there is a little more because I did say in the very beginning that this
Mm-hmm.
was an attempted murder,
Mm-hmm.
arson, and double homicide suicide. So for the last 5 minutes of this podcast,
Uh-huh.
we're going to enter what I call Slenderman 2 Electric Boogaloo. The party don't stop because in June 6, 2014, just 2 days after Eric Kunsten addresses the family of Peyton and releases his media statement, a Hamilton County mother says her daughter attacked her with a knife. Could have been results of the fictional horror character Slenderman. The mother's quoted as, "She had her hood up and her hands covered with her sleeves and wearing a mask. She was someone else during the attack." She said the 13-year-old daughter was obsessed with the fictional character Slenderman. Her daughter allegedly attacked her with a knife in the kitchen of their home. The daughter is in the Hamilton County Juvenile Detention Center. The mother said her daughter has mental health issues, but that she never imagined anything like this would happen. The mother said she came home one night from work and she was sitting in the kitchen waiting for me. She was wearing a white mask, the gloves, and her hood pulled up. The mother said her daughter's writings and drawings have always been dark, referenced demons, being insane, and falling into the darkness. She mentioned playing a role, the mother said. I got the feeling she was playing the role at this time. It didn't feel like her at all when we were sitting in the kitchen having the brief conversation. Mother said after hearing about the two 12-year-old Wisconsin girls allegedly stabbing their friend to please Slenderman, she thinks her daughter was under the same influence. She goes on to say to police that we found that she had written and she had made references to Slenderman. She also made references to killing, even created a world for Slenderman in her game, Minecraft. Stop playing Minecraft.
Minecraft is dangerous.
Minecraft is dangerous. She does say right here, but we talked about it earlier. The mother goes on to quote to the news media outlets local, we do have to police what they do and what they read. The girl is facing charges as a juvenile. Her family is not allowed to discuss the case with her, but her mother said she told other people that she does not remember the attack. The mother was treated for minor injuries from the attack, including cuts on her neck and face and a puncture wound on her back. This was another case. This one was very open and shut. They took her to court, tried her, put her right in the mental institute, juvenile, all of that.
Okay.
Guess what? There's one more. September 5th, 2014. I wrote down titles for all of these. I'm great for it. The party don't stop till something's on fire. We're coming down to my corner of the USA now. Here in Florida, a 14-year-old girl was arrested after allegedly setting her family's house on fire in what authorities suspect is the latest case of Slenderman-inspired violence. We've got our own brand, folks. The suspect was arrested early Thursday after police said she soaked a towel and bedsheet in bleach and rum, wasting the alcohol. They don't teach these kids right down here. And set her home ablaze. Fire started from her garage in her Port Richey, Florida home. As flames spread, she fled to a nearby park and slept in a bathroom, according to the Pasco Sheriff's Office police report. It just gets better with every story I looked up. We go from stabbing friends to attacking your mom to just setting your house on fire.
This is crazy. I've killed the
It
Enderman
gets
before.
it gets wild and wild. You killed the Enderman before. I'm not scared.
Florida
Man.
man.
This was Florida girl. This was Florida lady.
It's a good story when it starts with Florida man.
It does. You do know it's a good story when it starts with Florida man. The scariest part about all of this is the family got out fine, but the teen's mother and her 9-year-old brother escaped the fire unharmed. But at one point, the mom ran back inside the house to look for the daughter, thinking she was still inside, but couldn't find her. The house was destroyed. So the mom and the 9-year-old brother are sitting outside thinking that the daughter is inside and burning alive this whole time. Moments later, after police arrive on the scene, she starts sending texts. After the fire, the police were searching for the suspect. The girl texts the mother to apologize, saying, "Mom, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I did it. Did anyone get hurt?" Later on, the officers did find her down the road at the park where she was sort of camping out. The teen told police she had been reading about Slenderman, the online character who allegedly motivated the two 12-year-old Wisconsin girls to stab their friends 19 times. She had visited the website that contained a lot of Slenderman information and stories. The Pasco Sheriff's Office went on and told all this to ABC News outlets, that she had been on the same blogs as the other girls had been on, just comparing records. So they'd all been looking at the same information.
Yeah.
And so they were safe to say, like, hey, this is a connection, kind of like we talked about last week with the whole why didn't they think this was a connection kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, they're being smart here and they're saying, hey, these things are connected.
Yeah.
Y'all should look into this. You should take your kids off the internet, please.
Yeah.
Stop this. So after this has been going on, she sent the text, so the mom's like knows that she's alive and like, okay, she's here, good. The police find her. She's down at the park. She was sleeping on a bench. She had a backpack containing bottled water, cookies, knives, lighters, and flashlights. So she pretty much had all the essentials. She was covered.
Yeah.
She covered her basics.
Yeah.
Food, water, defense, and light. Don't worry about shelter. You'll find it somewhere else. Don't worry about clothes either.
Yeah.
Police found also in her possession a journal which the teen allegedly wrote about killing multiple people, including classmates, relatives, immediate family members, teachers, and members of the community.
Okay.
Later on in the journal, it came to write that if this keeps up, there will be no safety in this house, the report said. So she has a whole manual of just murder and who she wants to kill and how she wants to kill them to appease the Slender Man.
That's crazy.
Further reports state the mother can't be reached for any comments. The police didn't know if the suspect had an attorney either, but this was another open shut one. She obviously texted and admitted to it, so they're like, okay, we're done. Goodbye. We're done with you. They put these two away very fast. They couldn't do this, with the other ones.
Yeah.
And in the last case, and this is the creepiest one.
Okay.
This is the one that gave me chills. Early 2015, and I saved this one for last. Early 2015, there is a documented epidemic of spiked suicide rates and suicide attempts by young people in the ages of 12 to 24 on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. The Slender Man was cited as an influence. The Olga Sioux tribe president made a note with authorities and media that many Native American cultures traditionally believe in what they call a suicide spirit, similar to the Slender Man. Other Sioux cultures describe the big man as a messenger or a sign warning society is developing in a dangerous direction. Think about all the events that happened after 2014 and 2015 with the Slender Man arrival, all the murders,
Yeah.
all the attempted murders, and there's more. There's so many more of these stories. I shouldn't say stories because they actually happened, littered over the internet. And then to tie this all together at the end with, you know, cultures older than what we have here on these lands that believe in a suicide spirit that is essentially here to warn humanity of omens that we are going in the wrong direction. And then to have all of this happening completely apart from it. That even the media was breaking in on this. As late as 2018, we had reports that tabloids and major media news outlets were reporting Slenderman sightings. The Sun published last year, in October, I think, real Slenderman spotted. Like, it's wild. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And they have, you know, latest Slenderman related killings, and it's just so cult in the background of modern society that you don't know about it unless you do, and then even if you do, you don't know everything. And I feel very uneasy after doing all the research for this. I didn't want to sleep much Thursday night when I finished all of this. But yeah, that was more
And
than I bargained for.
like, your background is a house, my background is a freaking forest. Right now I've been staring at a forest for an hour while
Oh
we were
no.
chatting about Slenderman.
Oh no.
Yeah,
You should have put him in the background.
I should
You should
have.
have cropped him into your forest.
Yeah, thinking of it right now, I'm like, that's what I should have done, but I didn't.
See, I like my creepy farmhouse because this is like the creepy horror genre, like where I'm from. It's always like abandoned farmhouses,
Yeah,
abandoned churches, abandoned
absolutely.
barns.
Absolutely.
Oh man. So Carly, any closing thoughts on this? Any words of advice for the youngsters out here that want to look up internet memes and
Words of advice? If you do decide to go on the fictional side of internet, please bring not a grain of salt, but like maybe a whole box, because y'all need it.
bring the whole box of salt.
Bring the whole box of salt, put it on the side of your desk, and
Keep it there.
keep it there. Use it as you
Hold it.
need it.
Hold it
Because you need
close to
it.
you.
Good morning, Slusk. How you doing? But no, for real, like, I was a fictional kid. But, you know, my fictional stuff was like fairies, enchanted forest.
This forest was enchanted, all right.
No, it was doomed. It was not. You're a fictional person, Curly. I am
Curly
Shay.
is a fictional person. She's not real. It's actually just me
Oh,
on this with two channels.
And a fake identity. This is just a webcam recording from the internet. Exactly. Yeah, and Poke is doing the two voices. Like he has a really quick auto tune. Like
I'm actually just like the ventriloquist. I'm doing her voice too,
I
and mine
mean,
at the same time.
maybe this is pre-recorded. Who knows?
This could be. I could be totally just playing a loop right now. Y'all would never know it. Twitch would know it, but y'all wouldn't.
Oh yeah, Twitch would be like, "Oh, this is sus. This is sus."
This is big sus. Who would have never thought to like see the way their kids act and see the stuff that their kids are writing down, and as a parent just stop for a moment and be like, hey, that's very unsettling what you're writing in your notebook. I need you to stop right now.
I mean, yeah. Yeah.
That would be my, if I walk by my child and I'm just like, hey Timmy, what you up to today? You wanna go play some sport ball in the yard with your old man? And he's just like, no thank father, I want to look up Slenderman. Like, nope, you're going into Boy Scouts right
Nope.
now.
You're not my child anymore. You can
You're
go
going
in the
into
forest.
Boy Scouts right now. You're playing all the sport ball. I'm enrolling you in all the after school curriculums.
Yeah.
You have lost your privileges, sir. You don't get to do anything ever again. My child is like, I am looking up ways to worship the fictional online deity. Worship the online deities, kids. Let it go. Let marketing consume you.
Yes.
Like, I mean, I totally don't worship any online deities.
No.
I don't worship anything
I don't worship
fictional
anything fictional either.
or made up from the internet.
I would.
I totally don't have infatuation with any type of fictional artworks or games or anything else of that matter. No, not me.
Not us.
Okay. I am a good Christian boy. I have my Christian thing here. So
Yes.
that is all we do on our channel.
Oh my god, the freaking song with knocking on the door. Or no.
Mine has been getting me too. Mine has the eerie violin in it.
Oh god.
That picks up really quickly at some points. So it's just this nice. And then we'll go.
We don't claim it. Oh my god. Jeez. Oh my god.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I have
this
nothing
was longer than I expected.
I have nothing else to add. Bring the whole box of salt. Always.
Yes. If you are on the internet, bring the whole box of salt.